see me? It's all smoke and mirrors.
This video is sponsored by Ace Defender. Ace Defender is a high quality SRPG masterpiece combining authentic turn-based RPG battle with tower defense elements. The game has a traditional RPG storyline with more than 40 chapters, which covers almost 2000 levels. The storyline revolves around Elpida, the Silver Dragon Princess who escaped with the Creation Crystal and awoke in the human lands to summon heroes in order to fight the evil rebellion in the Dragon Clan with your help. The game has 5 hero factions. We have the Divine, Demon, Shadow, Nature and Light with deep hero background stories. Starting with 48 heroes, there are 2 new heroes released every 2 weeks. You can level up, combine heroes and also equip gear in order to create a powerful lineup. For the gameplay modes, we have 1x, 2x or 4x gameplay modes to speed up or slow down the action. We also have Expedition, the solo mode, we have PvE, explore dungeons and regions, engage in trials, level up your heroes and collect rare items. And then we also have the PvP mode where you can fight against other players within your server, the arena or a cross server King's Arena with multiple lineups. They also have a newcomer's reward, so new players who download the game from the link will get 10 Royal Recruit tickets after completing levels 2 till 8. You can use the tickets by clicking Sky City, Tavern and then Recruit 10x. Download the game now by using the link below in the description and support my channel at the same time. Hey guys, welcome back. We are playing Leblanc today. It is an AP assassin, very strong in this current meta. She's super strong in the early game, the mid game and the late game. It's very difficult to play though and to master as well, so it definitely takes a couple of games before you really start understanding her kit. So I want to start in with the W, that is your main damaging and also wave clearing ability. In the early game though, you are using the attack speed shard, so that means that you'll be using your auto attacks a lot. So try to get one auto attack off, then one W, then another auto attack, and that gives you a free electrocute proc. So want to do that whenever you electrocute, Keystone is ready. Keep an eye on the cooldown as well, because that really makes you super strong in the early game and gives you a lot of trading potential as well. Now that you have your Q, then it becomes a lot easier to trade. But at level 3, that's when you can really start setting up jungle ganks as well, because then you get the chains. Now what's really good about the chains besides the CC is the fact that it gives you true sight. It means that it's going to reveal anyone no matter what type of stealth they are in. It even works on the true invisibility like the Talon's ultimate, Akali's Shroud, and that's why Leblanc is considered a counterpick into these types of champs. And since Talon jungle is very OP right now, then Leblanc is a really good pick. She does well at all stages of the game. Especially in the late game, we can just pop in, one-shot somebody and then get out to safety. Super mobile as well, so very hard to shut down. But the chains extremely useful for setting up those jungle ganks. When possible, try to mark the target with a Q first and then you can proc it with a W. But if it's someone like the Serath who has hard CC ability, then you can try to hit him with the chains first. Remember that your chains can get body blocked by the minion, so you want to try to stay between the enemy champion and the minion wave. What's really important is that you constantly weave in those auto attacks, so whenever you use a Q, make sure that you also follow up with an auto attack in the early game. That's super important, that adds up to a lot of damage and that's what's going to secure the kills in the end. Leblanc is very strong in the early game, so if there's a fight starting in the jungle or in the river, for example the 2 enemy junglers wanting to contest the skull crab, then you should be able to move first. Because when you pick this champ, then you have prio in a lot of lanes. She's a lane bully with a lot of kill pressure straight from level 3. Getting the Dark Seal here because Leblanc is a mage and an assassin, like an AP assassin mage. Your goal is to get kills and snowball, and of course Dark Seal is the best item for that because you get free stacks whenever you get a takedown And then if you get enough stacks, then you can upgrade it to the Magi's, and if you don't, then you can just sell it, right? So always good to buy this item on the Assassins. Also teaches you to play safe, because you get punished really hard if you die, because you're gonna lose the stack. So it also teaches you to play the Assassins properly. You can use your W to wave clear, but because that's your main damaging and wave clearing tool, then you have to decide between using it for wave clear or if you want to damage the enemy champ. Sometimes you just want to push instantly and then roam if there are some good opportunities on the map. Most of the time in the bot lane, because there are squishies, there is at least one squishy champ. At that point you can just use the W to shove and then you can roam. But if you're looking for kills in the mid lane, then you want to use that W on the enemy champ and really burst them down. Go for short trades, like 1 or 2 short trades, putting them at lower HP, and then you can go all in. The E is a skill shot, so it can be difficult to hit if the enemy champion is mobile. At that point you just want to wait, bait out the movement abilities, auto tag them so it looks like you're going to use your E. Try to bait it out in any way you can, and then you can use the chains. So when you get level 6, that's when you start getting some good wave clear. Also all in, like you can use your double chains if you want to. You can also just use double 2 times your W to clear out the waves instantly. And that's also your burst combo in the early game. That is a lot better than mimicking your Q. But the ultimate is ready now. Remember, in the early game you want to use 2 times W and not 2 times Q. W is a lot better in the early game. Mimicking your Q is a lot better later on in the game. You can also use the double chains, that's also fine. If you're getting ganked, your jungler is coming to gank you, then you can use the double chains just to get that extra CC and guarantee those kills. So get some really nice trades off like this, guys, and then the opponent is low HP now. That's when you can look for the all-in. Just wait for your cooldowns, wait for the important abilities to be back up. You can show in the wave if you want to, because Leblanc is really good at tower diving just because of how mobile she is and her safety as well. So I messed it up right here. I went in way too early, otherwise I could have gotten that kill for free. But if you land everything, then that should end up in a kill most of the time. If I let that E chain fully form and get that last damage part off, then Xerath would have died. But I was also at risk of dying to the tower, so that's why I went out earlier. But a good thing to know is that if you're in melee range, you hit somebody with a chain and then flash out, the chain will still be connected, because the range of this ability is absolutely insane. So flash alone is not enough to escape it most of the time if you are close range. You can also roam. This champ is also really good at roaming. If you can't really find any kills in the mid lane, then just use 2 times W, like mimicking your W to clear out the way fast, and then you just roam. The ultimate has a decent cooldown in the early game, but as you get the ability haste, you'll be going for items like the Cosmic Drive that gives you a ton of ability haste. Once you get these items, guys, then your ultimate is going to be on a very low cooldown. Once that happens, that's when you can really start flanking people, just spam your abilities off cooldown. If you hit an AD carry with a QR and an auto tag in the mid to late game, guys, they're gonna be below half health. And you can also one-shot them if you land a full combo. There is a playmaking assassin, also had a lot of presence at Worlds this year. I don't know if you saw it, but Perks also played this champ, and that just goes to show how impactful this champ can be. Often, if you want to roam, then you should be able to be the first one to be there just because of your mobility, especially when you have the blue buff. If you have the blue buff, then you don't have to worry about the mana at all. You can just spam your abilities on the minion wave and then you can peace out. Look for them in the bottom lane. If you hit the chain, then that is either going to blow the summoner spells or you're going to get a kill. So it's always going to end up in something. So in the early game, we are also sitting on a decent amount of gold. We can base and get the Sorc Shoes or the Blasting Wand, so we are losing out on some damage just because we have not recall at this point. To make sure that you don't sit on the gold for too long, you don't want to fall behind the damage curve. Just set up the wave, like set up a full push, and once you've done that, that's when you can recall, get the items you need to, and then start the snowballing. You can see even without the ultimate, guys, then we are dealing a ton of damage. So it is a champion with absolutely insane kill pressure, and she's also very good at setting up jungle ganks. So you can often ask your jungler to come and gank you if they have some kind of CC as well, or if it's a burst champ like a Kha'Zix, like a Graves or Talon or something, because you provide the CC, they just need the damage. And as you can see, you can easily look for kills under the enemy tower. If you set them up previously, you know, like going for short trades, taking some of the HP in previous trades, and then you can look for that all in, get that free kill, snowball the game, buy the items you need, and then end it. You don't have to worry about it going to the late game, because despite being an assassin, Leblanc is also very good in the late game. Like, she's insanely strong, especially if they have squishies on the team. Like, they have a Talon on the enemy team, they also have an AD carry, so they are going to be very squishy. Just one full combo in the late game is going to one-shot either of them. They also have the Seraph, of course, he's also going to be squishy. No matter what, because they don't build tank items. The Talon jungle, one of the strongest junglers right now. If you want some free elo, then just play Talon jungle. Extremely strong and also really fun to play. Like, it is one of the most fun junglers just because of how easily you can get to other parts of the map with AD. So look for the chains first. If the opponent is a bit far away, then you look for the engage with the chains. And you can also use the passive to juke like this, guys. You can control the clone if you hold down your alt button and then right click, then you can control the clone. But it's very useful most of the time because it gives it catches the opponent off guard. And that's going to work almost every single time, unless they have ignite proc on you before you go into the passive, because they can see the real you. But otherwise that passive is really useful. It can end up saving you a lot of times, especially if you're used to using it, you know how to control the clone, then yes, it will end up saving your life a lot of times. So some people say it's useless, but absolutely not. Getting the Sorc Shoes, so now we have the Luden's Tempest, we have Sorc Shoes, we have a lot of early game Magic Pen. And that's incredibly OP, just because the opponents you play against, if you play against a mage and an AD carry, it's very rare they have MR at this stage. Like, they want to get at least the core items first and then they can go for MR, but even if they buy MR, they can't really buy those real tank items. They can buy stuff like the Merc Shoes and then the Banshee's Wail, but they're not able to buy those items that gives you a ton of HP and ton of MR. So when you have these double magic pen items in the early game, guys, that's when you can start one-shotting people. You're gonna absolutely destroy someone if you hit them with a full combo. So at this point, then every combo should be a kill. Just look at that damage, and I also missed the chains. Despite missing the chains, then he only survived with like 1 HP, so an auto attack was enough to finish him off. You don't have to waste your ignite all the time unless they have some kind of healing, because a full combo is going to delete the opponent. But the main problem a lot of people have on Leblanc after mastering her kit is the fact that they end up falling behind in CS. I am seeing this almost every single game. They can do well in the laning phase, but the problem is that when it gets to the mid game, then they fall behind in CS. So you end up on like 5 CS per minute or 6 CS per minute, and that's of course insanely low. Leblanc is not a champ known for a wave clear, but you can still farm up. You have to go to the side lanes and pick up the waves. So when the mid game starts, you don't want to AFK mid the entire game with your teammates. You want to go to the side lane, pick up those waves, and also take away the jungle camps if you can. Because you do have that double wave clear mechanic on that W and then the mimic W. So make sure that you farm in the side lanes. You don't have to split push. That's not what Leblanc does. You go to the side lane, you pick up the wave in like 2 or 3 seconds, and then you rotate back, wait for the next wave to appear, and then you go back to the side lane again. That's how you stay ahead in CS and XP compared to the opponent, and also how you make sure that you don't fall behind. So absolutely make sure that you don't era mid lane all the time. That's completely awful to do, and that's how you end up falling behind in CS. Just let your AD carry be mid if you want to. You can look for kills mid lane. If nothing happening, then you can just go to the side lane, pick up the waves, and then you go back. The damage is absolutely insane at this point, so even if we miss like one ability, then we still have enough damage to just finish people off. And because at this point you have a fully stacked Dark Seal, then of course you want to be upgrading it. Even if we had less stacks, as long as we have a couple stacks and we know that we are going to snowball even further, then it's completely fine to build it because it gives you a ton of early game power. Like insane amount of damage in the early game, so it really helps you snowball and really end those games before the enemy team gets to scale up. Because if they start building a lot of MR, the bruisers and the tanks start building a ton of MR, then of course it does become a lot harder. But you can still do a lot of stuff in the late game. Just because of your one-shotting potential and your mobility, it's very hard to shut you down. It's also very hard to escape from you. But when you play against the Talon guys, he's been played almost every single game now if he's not banned, because he's so OP in the jungle. Your chains, save your chains for him. If he goes to assassinate one of your carries, then hit him with the chains, and then even if he uses ultimate, then he will still be revealed just because of the true side mechanic you have on the chain. So you can easily shut down these types of champs like the Talon, Akali, even the Kiana in a brush element. It is going to reveal every single thing. So this is what you want to do on Leblanc. We are in the mid game right now, and what you want to do is that, if possible, you want to flank people. Like you pop up from Fog of War, you try to burst down the AD carry. Maybe one-shot them if you can, but if they have healed, then it's going to be hard. Just try to hit them with the combos, put them to low HP, and then your team is already at an advantage. The point where Leblanc is weak is actually in teamfights, but it's when her abilities are on cooldown and you're going for those extended teamfights, because Leblanc is a champion that plays around her rotating spells. She's not a champ with consistent damage. She has like burst damage, and then once she used her abilities, then she has to wait for the abilities to come back up. So it's not a champ like a Cassiopeia or an Alcea who absolutely destroys everyone in extended teamfights, because no one can match the DPS. Leblanc has insane burst damage, but she's not good in extended fights. There's a champion that really shines when you kite back and forward, and when you play around objectives and you have all the vision control. That's when Leblanc becomes insanely powerful. And as you can see right here, the E revealed Talon during his ultimate, so it's very easy to see where he's going. Easy to shut him down. It's very hard for Talon to make any moves whatsoever if there's a Leblanc on the enemy team. Be in the side lane, make sure that you don't fall too far behind CS. Some games you'll not be able to farm that well if people constantly fight, so you can't really help it, but most of the time you should be able to farm decently, guys. That's the only consistent thing you can do every single game. Almost every single game. Unfortunately, that was not enough damage, but that is a tank. If you can deal that much amount of damage to a tank, then imagine what you can do to those AD carries. Single rotation without the ultimate is going to one-shot them at this point. But this is pretty much how you play Leblanc. I hope this was helpful. As always, thank you so much for watching and see y'all in the next one.